Hey there, Faisal. So let's take a look at this new set of essays you've given us. Marriage and birth in one's 30s. Here's what you say. Nowadays, the majority of people are deciding, let's fix this. Nowadays, the majority of people, okay, not the people, because we're not talking about a specific group of people, we're talking about all people in general. So again, the majority of people are deciding to get married and have children in their 30s. While marrying later in life is beneficial for a couple's career, I believe that giving birth to children at an older age can have a detrimental impact on a child's life. In this essay, I will argue why building a family at an older age is a negative development, despite the minor benefits. Okay, that's nice. Marrying later in life is undoubtedly a great decision for one's career, especially for a woman. By not committing to a relationship at a younger age, it allows faster progression of an individual in their respective field. This is because the person has no family responsibilities such as taking care of the house or the children. A report published by The Guardian, for instance, showed that almost 90% of the female CEOs in the UK got married in their late 30s. Therefore, it is clear that by getting married at an older age, get rid of this by. You don't need it. It just messes up the sentence. So it should read, therefore it is clear that getting married at an older age greatly benefits one's career goals. However, while getting married, you're missing a word here. While getting married later in life can have some of your benefits, having children at the same age may have devastating effects on the child's life. Biologically, women are designed to give birth at a younger age. For example, it is scientifically proven that having children in one's 20s, you're missing a word here, one's, greatly reduces the risk of ovarian cancer, get rid of the "and," for the mother, and the probability of having a disabled child. If a couple decides with an S to have children at an older age, it will significantly increase the risk of the children having Down syndrome, Fragile X syndrome, and many other abnormalities. Hence, for the safety and well-being of the child, parents must give birth at a younger age. In conclusion, I believe that couples should have children at a younger age to avoid any complication, despite the career benefits of getting married at an older age. Okay. It's very good. It's very good. It's really very clear. It's well developed. I enjoyed it. I thought you structured your answer very well. It was very clear from the beginning to the end. There were some grammatical mistakes, nothing tragic, but certainly nothing that's going to allow you to get one of those highest band scores. I mean, there were pretty consistently some errors in each of the paragraphs. So it still will do well, I believe. Let's see, in terms of your vocabulary, there wasn't really a whole ton in terms of really high level vocabulary. I mean, there was some. You had things like detrimental impact, it's a negative development. Let's see, what else was an example? Yeah, but there was none of this kind of really advanced language. That's one thing that I'd like you to work on a little bit. But in terms of the development, I enjoyed it, as well as the coherence and cohesion. Those areas for me were really very strong. It read very easily. Okay, there was nothing I had to reread, or there was no ambiguity or lack of clarity, so I enjoyed all of those elements here. Like I said, there were some minor errors in terms of your grammar, and I just want to see you doing a little more in terms of your vocabulary. I think you can, so I'd like you to try it, okay? Let's take a look now at this rainfall essay. The line graph compares the amount of rainfall in England, Scotland, and Wales in the year 2018. The units are given in milliliters. Overall, the rainfall fluctuated throughout the year in all three countries. Could you tell me something a little bit more about that? For example, wouldn't that have been a little more informative if you had said that while all three had fluctuations throughout the year, the rainfall in England was somewhat more stable? Okay, so you're just giving an extra piece of information there. So, in January, the highest rainfall was in Scotland with around 125 ml. This was closely followed by England, approximately 115, while just below 50 ml of rainfall was experienced in Wales. Over the next month, the amount of rainfall drastically fell in Scotland by about 200. Wait a minute, how could it fall by 200 if it was 125? That's not clear. Let's see. Scotland, no. So it fell by about 100. Well, let's see, if it was around 130, in February it fell to about 30. So yeah, it fell by about 100, not by 200. Okay, but rose back to around 135 ml in March. During this period, Wales saw a gradual rise and then a fall in the rain. In July, Wales had the highest rainfall of the year, around 135. Okay, from August to October, Wales had less than 50 ml of rainfall, while England and Scotland had a significantly higher rainfall. By the end of the year, England had the highest rainfall with around 125 ml, followed by Scotland and Wales with figures of about 105 and 55 ml respectively. Is there anything else? Okay, you forgot a full stop here. I can't really say, well, I liked your language, the grammar and the vocabulary were well controlled, no problems, it was appropriate. I will take issue with some of the figures that you decided to focus on. So you focused on January, which for me was absolutely appropriate, okay? And then you talked about the next month. Okay, so you talked about January, and then you talked about February. And then all of a sudden, here you're talking about March for Scotland. And then you're talking about this period, and then you're talking about a gradual rise and fall, although I don't know when we're talking about. And then suddenly you're talking about July. For Wales only, though. Okay, so far the only real information I have is January and February. And then I have one piece of data for March. I have one piece of data for July. And then I have a kind of vague piece of data here for about this 3-month period. And then I have just the end of the year. So what am I trying to tell you? I think that you could have given a little bit more information because I'm not really entirely sure why you picked some of this information. Okay, yeah, you told me what the highest one was in July, and it was Wales. But why are we talking about July, Wales? Because it's the highest. You could have said that. It was the highest rainfall throughout the entire year of all the 3 countries. I just feel like there was more you could have done here. Now, just to give you some ideas about how you could approach this, I am not opposed to like breaking the year up in parts. So you could potentially break it up into thirds, okay? So you could make a break here in April, and then you can do the next 4 months, and then you can cover those last 4 months. Or you can do it differently. You can break up the year in half as well. I mean, that would be effective as well. So break it up, and then one of the things that I like to see when you have a lot of data here is, all right, like for instance, if you wanted to talk about England's trajectory for that second half of the year, you could have said that England had a couple of periods of fluctuation, but on the whole, it began the period at this number, whatever that is, 125, and it fluctuated with the lowest point in October at this, and again it ended the year at this. Okay, so not a ton of information, but still some to make it a little bit meaningful. You could have also, if you could have talked about the whole year of England, in fact, saying that England's trajectory throughout the year was marked by considerable fluctuation with a low of 70, okay, and 3 times reaching a high of 125. So that's one way of doing it, providing a range, and then you don't have to go into all this detail, but at least you're giving the reader some sort of indication of what you're looking at, so they have a little more information. And I think using these ranges like this is a lot more meaningful than just picking like one random number here and one random number there. So it's something that I want you to think about, okay? And see if you can try to apply something like this in some of your following task ones. Okay, so now go ahead and correct these essays, send them back to us, add to your error correction list, and let's see where you're right in your next set of essays. Okay, you're doing well. Let's just work a little harder to get you to where you deserve to be. All right, good luck.